Yo, stream 2 times in 3 days right now, by the way. I'm back. I'm so back. Fucking crazy. Max, I am sorry to inform you, you are not in the OnlyFangs MC raid. Fuck. 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 Hi, Ella. Are you being a dog right now? Yeah. Yeah. Growl popped into the call to ensure Dendy got a spot. I don't know who the fuck any of these people are. All right. Boys. What's up? It's me. And it's Ella. Ella's very hype right now. Ella, show him what's up. Come here. Get big, Ella. Come here. Oh, yeah. Hey, big girl. Stay big. She's a sweet dog. I've given her so much attention today, too, but she's just, you know. All right, time to stream, Ella. Let's go. Good girl. Wait, I'm now only hearing out of my right side. What happened? Oh, that got unplugged. That's why. Fixed it. Reptar best dog. All right, Reptar, come say hi. Come on, come say hi to all the people. Oh yeah. He's like, I'm cute too. I'm a Reptar. Oh, okay. Ugh. Okay. Thanks, buddy. How's her paw doing? It's Lily who has the broken toe. She broke a toe on one of her paws. She's doing all right though. Okay, so guys, you know what it is. Today, we're going to exist for a little bit. And then Dratnos is getting a haircut right now. And when he gets back from getting a haircut, we are going to rate all the bosses. So we do need to get prepared. So I need to find like POVs I can play of each boss while we're talking about it. And then also, I need someone to make a tier maker that just has the 8 bosses on it. Well, 7 bosses, not Gallywix. Then it'll be Potty C time. We are going to record Potty C after that. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time with Dratnos today. Max says, the headset feel good with glasses on. Been looking for one that doesn't hurt my ears. Yeah, this feels fine, but I'd probably get another headset. This one's super expensive. Max, are you losing your hair? No. Nope. I think I got lucky with that. I think my Is it your mom's dad or something? I don't know. People just make that shit up. My dad's bald as fuck, though, and he was, like, turbo balding by the time he was 30. Any crazy tales from the ice rink beast? Not really. Just playing a lot. Had a playoff game on Tuesday. We won in a shootout in overtime, and the shootout went like 9 players deep. I scored in the shootout and in the game. W. Max, keep it a buck. Is this raid gonna be fun while we get this renown track done for it, or feel like a damn nightmare? No one can know that answer, by the way. Like, bosses that appear really hard on testing sometimes are really easy on live. Vice versa happens. You can have an excellently designed raid and bosses, and then, like, they, like, do a scarn, or they, like, overtune something. You know? Like, there's no way to know, man. At least that's what I figured out. I figured out there's no way to know. Raids are always usually a little harder without a heroic week because, like, you just... I don't know. Like, you just do a lot of repetition in that week, so you're just better when it comes to mythic. Like, for example, like, doing mythic after you do a boss 30 times on heroic versus, like, 10 times on heroic. You're just, like, better at the boss after doing it 30 times on heroic, you know? You just have seen it more. A lot of things translate. No heroic week next year? Nah. Boys, I need someone to make a tier maker. Maybe someone already did it. Unlikely, though. Let's check. Unlikely. Search for this. What? Liberation of Undermine? What's the raid called? Oh, Liberation of Undermine boss tier list. Okay, this is kind of... Someone did do it, though. So we're chilling. Someone already did this, actually. So, W. No one in stream has to do anything. Is it missing a boss? So that has Gallywix. It has Muggsy. It has One Arm Bandit. It has... Styx. It has... Is this Sprocketmonger? It's missing Cauldron of Carnage. It has Vexy and it has Rick Reverb. Okay, so fuck. Someone needs to remake it, but yeah, someone please do this. I'm too stupid to do this. But if someone could do it, that would be amazing. And you have 1 hour until Dratnos' haircut is done. And until then, we'll just... Until then, we'll just see whatever. So what's anyone get me caught up in classic? What's the classic news? You guys mentioned a raid. Are they like picking the people for raid? How do they pick people? I mean, it's probably like who's contributed the most. You just missed the raid draft. Based on viewership, viewer count is heavily involved. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right? I mean, if you... I feel like what has made OnlyFangs popular is the combination of a lot of people with high viewership doing it. So if you're going to continue that into the raid, the more people with high viewership possible, the better chance to like have it still be successful for everyone. It kind of like scales off each other. Wait, viewer count with prior experience being a negative. Oh, so they went for like more noobs? That's actually probably smart for content. Not to mention that there's going to be more people like Like, the other people will still have their characters. Like, people are gonna die, you know? Gingy getting benched makes my week for sure. Bro, you have hatred in your heart. That's crazy. They bring only 10 people that are considered sweet, meaning they have a lot of experience. Okay. Nah, man, fuck Europe Raiders. I'll say it. I have hate in my heart. Holy shit, bro. Damn. I mean, I know what you, I know what you mean. That's fucking crazy hating, though. Wait, someone showed me a VOD of Gingy getting picked.
Our big ones.
Gingy, okay.
Wait, so this is how they did it? They have...
almost all of them.
So it's like right here. They have what level they are, how many hours they've streamed, their average concurrent viewership of all channels, and then specifically for World of Warcraft. Okay, and then how many hours they've streamed of World of Warcraft since OnlyFangs started. I mean, I'm trying to think of like who would get upset by that, but I mean like you're definitely just gonna have like people like if you were in this is a streamer thing from the beginning. Like if they had to pick people for raid, I'm pretty sure people with lower viewer counts would have already assumed that they were maybe not going to be selected, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some people that are right on the fringe that are maybe kind of upset about it. I mean, you certainly could be upset about it anyway. Just being like, I put in the most time, but not enough people watch me, so I'm not a part of this. But that's like kind of what this is, though. It's a streamer thing. What is it? There was also mats farmed for raid and stuff, generally being helpful. Like Growl was kind of close to getting in despite not streaming in like 2 months. I mean, there's hundreds of people with only 40 raid slots. I mean, not surprising. Yeah, but like, here's the people that I bet were mad. They limited it to 10, in quotes, sweats, right? Like, if I know anyone who's going to get mad about something like this, it's definitely going to be the sweats. Like, not like Gingy. You guys are thinking of Gingy. I'm talking like a classic is my life kind of sweat player, you know? The casuals were more mad. Interesting. What is it? Gingy ain't classified as a sweat though. I mean, that's kind of true. Like, talking about Classic specifically, yeah. Like, I don't know if Gingy's done all this stuff in Classic. All right, what is this clip about?
Payo's not there.
So we...
Havoc?
Yeah, Payo and Gingy are our big ones.
Gingy, okay.
Gingy is not a sweat either, which is great. But
dude,
yeah.
I'm gonna say my take about Gingy. Love this guy. He's been in my chat helping me so much. I fucking can't stand cheaters though.
Yeah, he
like,
cheated.
Yes, I know he was a stupid little thing.
I know why this was
thought
linked.
Nothing about those little green items. But if he had to do it again, he wouldn't do it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. He fucking cheated.
I feel like the cheat he did wasn't
Yes,
that big. I mean, I guess he said that.
He had to kill a 60 character.
I know. So it's like, are we gonna keep punishing him for that? I don't. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to stack more punishments, but again, he's on here with an asterisk.
Okay.
So let's put him on the trim list.
Let's see if I even recognize some of these people. Who are these people? I know Soda Miz and T1, Pika Zaryu, Annie. Don't know anyone else. Summit Moon Moon. I now know that Yamoto guy because of Pirate Software. None of these guys. Hunter, Zico, Gingy, Meteos. Oh, Growl's on the list. He must have gotten taken off, though. Are the asterisk people they had to choose between at the end? Oh, so, like, they basically put it up to 60 and then had to trim. But, I mean, they're going to use these people anyway. Like, they are all going to die, or a lot of them are going to die at some point. What's a red name mean? I don't know. Red equals sweat. Oh, yeah.
That I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know.
Any other good clips? Any other good clips from this? Before we move on from our classic update? Dude, poor Growl, bro. Are we going to hate watch the raid? Nah, I don't usually watch classic stuff. I like the classic races, though. Like when a new classic race comes out. Those are fun. Like when they have, like, what is it, Dragon Soul coming up? That'll be fun. I usually do those. Growl came in after running upstairs to stand up for a player not even himself. Dude, W Growl. Why are people getting so hung up that specifically Gingy didn't make the first raid? Do you mean in general or do you mean in here? I think it's because people in this chat are just more familiar with Gingy than a lot of other people on this list. Or do you mean like why other people are really hung up on it? Probably because he has like a lot of fans and they're like mad or something. Right? That makes sense. Generational Gingy haters in your chat? Yeah, no shit. Bro, I bet there are some like fucking Olympic tier max haters in Gingy's chat. He has been 60 with pre-bisc gear for like a month and just waiting. Oh, Growl. Oh, and then he didn't make it. That kind of sucks. I still think it's funny. Oh. Yep. I think fans care more about that than Gingy himself. Yeah, probably. We're going to have the race here in not too long, right? So. Yo, did someone make this thing? Did someone make the, whatever it is, the tier maker? See what WoW YouTube has to offer. Oh, I need to order a burrito before Dratnos gets here, actually. I might have fucked up by not doing this already. Max, is there any scenarios where you guys do normal runs next year? And if so, would it be worth it? Yeah, we'll like almost certainly do normal runs. We do normal runs every tier, right? That's always the play. All right, 1 second. Let me order my burrito, guys, or else I'm gonna forget. I need to suck down this burrito. Good day of testing. We had an amazing day of testing. We fucking slapped today. We did so good. Came in prepared, dealt with some change. I mean, basically what happened today is like they retested Cauldron of Carnage and remembered that it was a second boss. That's good. They made Rick Reverb a little easier. Remembered he was like the third boss. That was good. And then they retested the second to last boss and kind of cleaned up some of the cast sequences. It makes a little bit more sense now. I mean, it fully makes sense. You could do the whole fight and testing, so it made sense. But I still think that boss is missing something. Not quite sure what it is. From YouTube chat, would you guys say that you are the favorites to win going into the raid? I don't know. I don't ever think of things like that. I mean, we won the last raid by a pretty big amount, so I would assume most like casual race fans that are unbiased would probably think that, because I think I've seen that swap throughout the years. Like, whoever won last time is just like the favorite. That's just like how that works, I guess. But I don't know. There's multiple good, like, right, Echo's always sick, Method's getting better. You never, like, as a competitor, you don't ever are like, you know what, we are the most likely to go to win during this raid, because you don't want to like underestimate anybody. You always try to give it as much effort as possible. All right. I feel like Echo isn't as good these days. Do you agree? I don't know. I feel like Echo's always really good. What makes you feel that way, though? Is that literally the result of one raid? Right? Like, look, I mean, like, you've even seen stuff in the past, right? Like, remember us on Sepulcher? We got, like, World 5th in Sepulcher or some shit like that, and we were able to win multiple races after that point. Right? So, like, I don't know, it kind of just doesn't matter. I don't know, I feel like you guys keep getting better and they are not. I don't know. I think you might be looking at it from like a biased lens. Everyone's always getting better. There's like so many ways to get better doing this. What is it? They lost some players and I feel like they are on the edge of actually stopping. See, like, what makes you actually think that, though? Like, I don't think you guys understand how obsessed all of us are in doing this. Like, there's never, ever a scenario where, like, Echo just doesn't do this anymore. There's nothing else in the world like this. It's too good. Like, 20 of their players, no matter what, would continue on. Plus, also, like, I just don't even think that's true. Like, saying, like, oh, they're on the verge of stopping. Like, I don't even know what you could do to think that. I think they spent like 10 hours in normal over the weekend when normal was there. That is the definition of giving a fuck. What is it? Their team cohesion seems very miss at the moment. Bro, that guild's been like that forever. Echo has been like, doesn't even seem like they're getting along. And they've been successful for fucking ever. Like, that's always been the case. Stop giving the correct answer. We want shit talk. Nah, I don't know. Especially after last race, you know, there's some like unresolved shit, right? Like the Sneak.Lewis stuff, the fired up stuff that we're not a fan of. But you always have respect for your competitors. They're really good at what they do. They're like one of the few people in the world that can relate and understand what we do. You know, you have common stuff between you. Not a huge fan of them since the Gingy stuff. Sneak.Lou was a while ago, but still weird. But I don't know. I don't openly shit talking them doesn't really make any sense. All right, guys. The most insane burrito is on its way to my house right now. It's going to be the best burrito I've ever eaten in my life. Are you still enjoying raid leading after all these years? No burnout? I kind of protect myself from burnout by doing one key thing. Once the first few weeks of farm are over and my position is no longer relevant, I just don't do farm. That is what singularly keeps me from burning out. Because I kind of AFK'd the last couple months, but then they announced the bosses for raid testing and I got making some raid plans again and raid testing started and I fully fucking locked in. I had a very clear definitive moment of oh, I fucking love doing this shit. But that was because I kind of AFK'd it for a few months. Now, the scenario where I'm at 2 to 3 5-hour raids a week, 21st man raid leading content that we figured out months ago, I would have been quit for years by now. There's no way I can do that. It's just boring. I don't want to be bored. I would quit. But I don't have to do that. So I can just kind of do what I love doing and not do the part that sucks. Do you consider yourself a legend of the race world first? No. Bro, that's such an insane question to ask anyone. Literally, no matter who you're talking to. Talk about some actual legends like LeBron or something. Hey, LeBron, do you feel like you're a legend? The answer is yes, but he's never going to say that because that's just sounds so ridiculous. Now, I am not even saying I'm anywhere close to LeBron, and I would answer your question honestly as no. Legends to me in the race are Sejta or Seta from Dream Paragon or Kuznum from Method. Those are people that are everyone has relative. It's relative, right? Those are people for me. I've become the biggest channel in the Race to World First when the Race to World First got its biggest. So I think a lot of people just know who I am and maybe associate my face with it, but I don't think I'm a legend, no. The legends were before me. The people who did what I did just as good as me, or better, except they quit and stopped doing it before it started making any money. They did it purely for the love of the game. Sparkugs is a legend, no question. Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, no one's doing this tier maker thing, so unfortunately, I think I might have to do it, which is a terrible, terrible realization I'm having at the moment, is that I'm going to have to do work. And I feel like we haven't thought about this enough because this doesn't sound good. I feel like this can't be right. You know? It can't be right that I would have to do work. The work is supposed to be done for me. That is the rule. That is what we have figured out. Chat. I'll do it. I'll do it. Fuck it. You know what? I'll do it. I can do it. Wait, someone in chat said I made one. All right, never mind. I don't have to do it. Woo! Wait, you said... Max, what is your take on Sko and how he saved Method from a downfall in the race? What are you referring to specifically? He saved Method from a downfall during the race. Does he have a legendary moment where the guild was about to quit and he locked in and was like, no boys, we ain't quitting. This is about that shit. I mean, I think what Sko gets the biggest credit for, and I don't know if he was the main person in Method pushing for this, but I think it was an insane decision from Method's perspective to ever stream the Race to Worlds first. Obviously, it's hindsight, it all worked out. It's super popular. Everyone loves it. all that shit. But like the initial decision to do it, like in the first place, was really risky, was like really controversial within their own guild, very controversial. But like, I don't know if it was him or someone else. I mean, he was leading the guild, so I assume it was him. But like, whoever decided to do that obviously made like a really good decision. But it was like, it's impossible to tell at the time, and they probably did it amongst a bunch of resistance. So that's sick. What is it? Risky in the sense of like we might lose, but we might make all the money. I mean, okay, so they didn't. So the reason they did it, there was 2 points of contention. There was like Exorcist was their only competition because Serenity died, and they figured they could just beat Exorcist really easily, which ended up being true. And they were like, all right, we're just going for the race world. Or maybe Exorcist quit. I don't know exactly what it was, but they felt like they literally had no pressure and no one competing with them. So they're like, why not stream it? And they didn't know we existed because we didn't exist. We decided to go for the race world first like 3 days before it came out. Just like fucking YOLO it. Let's just do it. Right? So I don't know how contentious it was to originally stream from Method's perspective, but like after the first tier, they didn't lose, but they almost lost. And they're like, is it worth streaming if we lose? Because we went through a lot of those same conversations. You lower your chance of winning by streaming 100%. If there's like 2 teams that are both really good and one of them is showing all their moves and the other team isn't, like, actually, I'll just go ahead and say this. Like, I'm pretty sure for the last like 5 years, if you were to just replay history and every raid that has been played since like we actually did the race world first enough, like Oldir and BOD, Eternal Palace, like it's kind of, at the time we felt like we could win. But, like, I don't really think we could have win outside of maybe Oldir because we were just inexperienced. We were going up against a guild who has been going for the race world first for, like, 10 years. For a lot of their current players, it was, like, 3 or 4 plus. Like, we had no idea what we were doing. There was a massive learning curve. We had just not done it enough to realistically ever be able to win. And then once we were able to win in Nyalotha and Castle Nathria, it's been really competitive since then. So, like, let's just say since Nyalotha and Castle Nathria, or maybe even Eternal Palace, once we've had enough experience to like actually do this, I think if either one of our guilds didn't stream any of the last like 6 or 7 raids, however many there was since then, I think the team that didn't stream would have won by a lot. Like a lot. Like you always take information from each other, but if you're the only one waking up with information and the other team isn't, you are going to fucking smoke them. It's so valuable. Does streaming allow you to recruit better talent? Maybe. Streaming brings money, and I can't like go back in time and figure out exactly who would or wouldn't be in our guild if it wasn't for them being able to make a paycheck from it, but I imagine it certainly matters. It probably helps retaining players. It doesn't help gain players, really. Like, I bet people... I don't know how many raiders we've gained because of making any money, but I bet we've retained a lot of them. Because, like, I don't know. A lot of people would have probably quit by now. Because you have to keep in mind, we did this for years before it made any money. And you kept a lot of your same players. No one was making any money. You were just doing it for the love of the game, right? It's the most fun thing any of us do. So it's cool. Was there ever a tier that you didn't feel confident in? I mean, old dear. How could we be confident? Like, bro, could you imagine how fucking delusional we would have had to been in Old Year to go for Race World first for the first time ever? We've never done this against a team that has done it an infinite amount of times and be confident that you would win. Anyone telling you that that's how they felt is fucking full of shit. It's just so full of shit, it's unreal. Like, there's just no way you can think that as a human. Because you can even have, like, one officer preaching it, or, like, a player in the guild being like, guys, we actually are good enough. Like, we can win this. I'm confident. But that doesn't mean everyone else is like that. Probably everyone else is like, bro, what are you fucking talking about? You know? Like, there's just, you can't be confident about something you know nothing about. I don't know. We were like confident going into BOD though, but we were also wrong. Like, we were confident going into Battle Dazarlor. We thought we were better than them. We were not, right? We were just stupid. But no, like, for the last like 4 years or so, yeah, we've never not been confident, even in races we've lost, for sure. I feel pretty happy about our performance in like every raid we lost. Like even Sepulchre, our like biggest loss. Maybe how well we played through Anduin was maybe some of the best we've ever played. We dunked on Halandris. And then by the time Anduin died, that was at that point like the average race length anyway. Like literally everything that happened after Anduin was its own normal race, and everything that happened before Anduin, literally time-wise, was its own race. Like we played great in that raid. We didn't finish strong, we didn't win, but like there were even raids where we lost, there was a lot of good to take from it. You kind of have to get better. Max, check Discord DM saying the tier list W. Thank you. What's the biggest difference between a world first raider and a cutting edge raider? They're just like a lot better. Just generally. All right. I think my food's here. Let me see. Oh, we're barking. Reptar. Why are you hyped? Oh, he thinks I'm done. Bro, I just started streaming, buddy. I know I haven't been streaming as long. Okay. What is it? I like you and Echo keep winning about every other raid each to maximize drama and my entertainment. I like both teams. Well, wouldn't that be nice for you, buddy? I don't want Echo to win any raids. Fuck that. That sucks. Bro, when Echo wins, that sucks so bad. That means we don't win. I hate that shit. That sucks insane. But you are right, though. It wouldn't... So, it's interesting. It wouldn't be good, even though... This is an interesting paradox. Both of our guilds want to win every raid. Like, so badly. But if either of us could win, like, 5 or 6 raids in a row, we would choose to do that, obviously. But that would actually be bad for both of us. Does that make sense? Like, it would be really bad for business to have the race world first in either direction appear dominant, or that only one team could win. It would lower viewership. We would make less money. Be very bad. Be not good. But also, like, saying that in this position, if I was ever in a position to win every single race, do you think you'd ever actually make the decision, like, hey, we should lose this one? Like, you would never do that. You're a competitor. You would never do that. But, like, it is a thing. But the way it's kind of worked out in Natty is it's just been a lot of winning in both directions, right? So... I gotta slam this burrito, boys. Has there ever been a situation where you and Echo are trying to recruit the same player? Probably. I think most scenarios, like, someone's just going to go to one of our guilds. There's two major defining factors. Number one, we're on different regions. One's on NA, one's on EU. So you're way more likely statistically to go to the team that you're on the same region as because you don't have to level a bunch of characters on a different region and play with worse ping and farm. So that's number one. So there's already something that, like, kind of assigns you to a guild. Now, that is not always true. We have a bunch of European players. They have a few North American players. So you can swap. So then there's another thing. Outside of being on different regions, which you sometimes have, like, an account you care about, we also have, like, totally different vibes. Like, it is perfectly reasonable to say that some players might just enjoy raiding in a guild like this more than Echo, and some players might enjoy raiding in a guild like Echo, and our guild would drive them crazy and they would hate it. So then there's another thing that kind of like a Harry Potter sorting hat that just kind of, if you're good enough to raid in one of our guilds, you likely wouldn't be getting recruited by both because there's one you would want to go to because of those things. But even then, I bet there's been situations where we have tried to recruit the same player at the same time, for sure. Beard looking good here. Blow up. If you retired from raid leading, who in your eyes would take over? Scott would take over the guild. That's kind of obvious, though. Raid leading? I don't know. Probably Zasevi. But, like, taking Zasevi out of the raid with how hard healers are to find doesn't really make sense. But that's, like, the only person that kind of makes sense. Maybe Bubba. Actually, but that'd be a very different role for him, but... Why are healers hard to find? Shit's hard. It's just the hardest role by far in the race world first. And very few people want to do it. And on top of that, to, like, climb up the healer rankings, you want to, like, farm healing, which is, like, teaching you bad habits for how to actually play at this level. There's, like, so many things working against it. What are you munching on? I'm sucking down a burrito right now. What is Smack made of? He can play everything 120%. He just loves the game, plays it a lot. Bro, someone help me explain this YouTube comment. Someone just said, Dratnos exists across all times. In all scenarios, he is existing and a man of the people. What does that mean? Like, he's an omnipresent being that's just always been here? Shit. Max, if I missed what you said, how did testing go for you guys today? Really good. First boss was piss. I mean, the only boss for the Race World First that mattered today was Muggsy, and we figured out the entire fight. Like how we want to do it on progression, at least in the current form of the boss, which is about as good as the testing can go. But also bosses can change a lot. Like, for example, like Tindril was pretty easy on testing. Then you could do the whole fight, and then it became Tindril, and they just made the boss cast everything 3 times as much. Like, I think that's an actual number, by the way. God, Tindril was a fucking great boss. Did Muggsy get much better, in your opinion, today, from what it used to be? It was definitely simpler for testing. I don't know if this is the version of the boss that we're going to get on live, though. Like, they cut out the second set of jails and bombs from 90 energy plus. I think just to simplify it for testing. I think there's multiple versions of this boss that... I think the boss is going to play pretty close to what it played today, but just a little faster, especially at the end. They have to delete the line of sight, please, I beg. Yeah, the line of sight for healing is very annoying. My 4th grade football coach told me one time, if you boil an egg, you know how to do it for life. Anyways, grats on all the poon you've been getting. God, dude. This is just moments like this where you're just like, why do I stream? You know? Like, just why am I doing this? What a chat. Do you guys have any roster changes for this tier? Yeah, we picked up a few people. Who do we pick up? We picked up... We picked up Shay from Method. He's like a feral druid enhanced guy. We picked up Cinny from Vodka. He's like a ranged guy. We picked up Wolf Disco from Echo. He used to raid here, and then he's been in Echo for the last couple of years, and he's back in our guild. And we picked up a new analyst recently. Kind of hard to describe his role. All analysts do like very different things. But basically, he's like another strat guy. He's someone who's done strats in other guilds. He did strats in Rainbow Six Siege a little bit, and he runs his own WoW guild. And he's pretty smart, good at making some raid plans. So basically, we just hired him as like a person to bounce ideas off of for testing for all bosses, but more specifically for like Gallywix. Like, here's how usually... Yeah, his name is Yuri. So what usually happens is we're doing splits, and then we see Gallywix for the first time, or whatever, X last boss. But we haven't seen it in testing. And you can read the Dungeon Journal all you want. A lot of things come into perspective when you see the fight. So what normally happens is I lead the first few splits for my group, and then I stop. Because I have to figure out Gallywix. I have to figure out Ansarek. I have to figure out whatever. And I literally mean solo figure it out, because every single other person in the guild, Zevi, who I would normally run this stuff across, Scott, Boomy, infinite amounts of strat people in the guild, they're all doing splits for fucking days. Bubba Dub, he is so ingrained in splits and gearing. He's solo running all of our gearing. He can't, so it's just me. So mainly we got Yuri. For those 2 to 3 days, I have an extra person to bounce ideas off, get some redundancy, and he's also way better at making very good-looking raid plans than me. And just 2 heads are better than 1, so he's there for that reason. Two heads like Muggsy. Ah, yes. Dude, speaking of Muggsy, boss looks cool as fuck. All right, Dratnos is ready in 10 minutes, by the way. He's on his way back from getting a haircut. Dude, Muggsy is like one of the coolest looking bosses ever. It's an ogre in a tuxedo. But like both of the heads and sides of his body have like different vibes at the tucks. What is it? How many slides do your raid plans usually end up being? We are going... I am not good at expressing myself with art or with drawing or with handwriting or anything. It's really bad. It's really... I'm good at like actively doing it with a group of people and like having them understand what I mean. But like when you're talking about a fully put together raid plan that like someone can click on in a boss channel and know exactly what we're planning on doing, that is something that mine just look like shit. I'm just not good at making it look good. I'm good at making it say all the right things and have us, like, the strat part is good, but having it look good and be concise for someone reading it that isn't me, I'm not good at that. He's very good at that. But also just making raid plans isn't important. It's also more about figuring out the boss. Oh, come on. North Korean defection rate. Bro, how did that even happen? How was that even real? I can't believe I, like, confidently lost all those points on it, too. I literally was my own downfall in that Potty C Jeopardy game. How important was the Dorvon pickup? Very important. Dorvon is another example of, like, whenever you call someone an analyst in the race world first, you have no idea what they do. Two people could be an analyst. They could both be infinitely helpful to you and do completely different things and have zero overlapping responsibilities. Dorvon's like a completely unique perspective. I don't think he really... What he does is not what anyone in this guild did before he was here. It's entirely additive. It's very good. Oh shit, before Dratnos gets here, let's actually... Here, I will actually do some work. So who has, like, VODs of all of these bosses that I can just look at? Is there, like, a YouTube channel? Last time, like, ID had a YouTube channel that just had all of the testings for them. Someone in chat says, can you play some Mythic Plus? Your yapping is boring. All right, so I'm not even going to address the insult part of that. But do you know how insane it would be to watch my stream and be like, and like actively watch my stream because you enjoy it and then have the take of, I wish you would stop yapping and just do Mythic Plus? That is fucking insane. That like, that's just a crazy take. The healer from ID hasn't made the YouTube video yet, but he streamed them all. Actually, I think like Hopeful did this in a previous raid, but now Hopeful's an Echo, so we obviously won't have him. I mean, I can just find Twitch VODs. It's just like fucking annoying. That's all. Oh, maybe, I mean, I don't know. Does Dratty have... Does Dratnos have YouTube videos for every single one? Let's see. He has one for... Wait. Mythic 11.1 raid testing liberation of Undermine all bosses. Are they timestamped? Okay. We're online. This is what we'll be using. And I'll cover his camera with mine because he'll be on the screen with me. Well, I can't do that. Maybe I could make my camera so it looks like his arms are my arms. That's kind of funny. Like this. That looks pretty stupid. This is a good video, but he only goes over the mythic changes only. I'm not watching this video to watch it. I'm purely having this video on in the background to give you guys a visual of this boss as we are speaking about it. Does that make sense? Also, why does Dratnos have just, like, the worst player in your raid rank 1 all-stars details meter size. Max, are you hydrated? Bro, you know what? I actually am, but good shout. Everyone take a drink of water right now. Two meters that show the same thing. Bro, is it just because he's topping? Is it like this for every boss? Bro, it is. I'm going to call Dratnos 1 second. Dude, why on your YouTube video of all the mythic bosses do you have just the biggest DPS meter ever?
Yeah. You got to know how much damage everybody's doing.
Oh, okay. I guess that I should have guessed that.
No, what happened is in previous PTRs, I didn't have details big enough, and then I overcorrected this time.
Oh, dude, this is the first testing of this boss where the tiny torques were just fucking in the wall and everywhere. Did you do the testing today?
No, I didn't. There's a TGP tech test thing.
Oh, yeah. That's
We
happening.
didn't have all of our people and stuff.
We guys just got an 8 stack in this was the first part of testing where it wasn't doing any damage.
Yeah, this was before it worked. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can give you a synopsis of how the bosses changed a little bit before we do this. The Cauldron of Carnage retested today. There's only like 4 bots on each side instead of like a million. And they made the like fire soak. Everyone has to be in it, and it does damage to both sides every time. And that's it. It was pretty easy. They made it the second boss. They were like, this should be a second boss, and then it was. And Rick
good.
Rick Reverb, they made it so the very first spawn of each phase only does 1 instead of 2. So each phase you only gain 1 total amplifier rather than 2. Made it very easy. It made it clearly and obviously the third boss. And then Muggsy, they made the whole fight like make a lot more sense. You could do the whole boss. So it was much better. But you might need to know that if you're going to rank this fight. Or I guess maybe not.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of the Muggsy
Today?
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, they just made it so you just get 1 of each phase.
Yeah, I think I have enough info to do the rankings.
All right, W. That's good. All right. Let me get one of my chatters said they made me a tier list. Also, I wonder how right we were. Do you want to go back and see how right we were for the Amir Drasil like design rankings? So just to give them some context on what we think they're looking at here. All right. Wait, someone said they Discord DM'd me a raid thing. Oh, this is not. I have message request. Whoever said they sent it to me, I don't think I got it. Unless you... Fuck. Can you put it in... Whoever made a tier maker thing, just put it in the We Steal channel of my Discord. The Discord DM thing is just not disabled. Just my one is on tier maker. Oh, so maybe I can just look for it. Let's see. What's it called? Liberation of Undermine. Oh, 4 max. W. That is what we fucking want to see right there. Now I gotta get the icons right. Alright, got it. Okay, let me actually find the Amir Drasil one, though. Find the final rankings. Wait, is this before or after the raid? Fuck. Am I looking at... Oh, no, we're looking at ID VODs. This is going to be before the raid. All right, final tier list. Oh, we did a poll count. Oh, fuck. Do you want to do a poll count guess, too?
Hell yeah.
Okay. fuck. I'm gonna need to find the actual, like... Oh, no. Wait, we just did poll count predictions, but we must have talked about... Did we not tier list them last time? We just did poll predictions? Wow, I'm so confused.
Maybe another video?
Maybe it was another video. I swear we would have tier listed them. We did... Oh, we graded them. They were graded...
We did grades for Narrowbar, right?
Yeah, but not a Mirdrasil, I don't think. What do you want to do? Do you want to do grades versus...
I think we should change it up every tier so that people don't get complacent.
Oh, okay. Well, what do you want to do? We got to be creative.
We do tier
then.
list. We did because we did grades last time.
Oh,
we did the whole,
sure.
Last year we did, because remember we did the civilian versus sweaty
true.
elitist grades, and we got people mad at us for that.
Oh yeah, so let's make them mad at us for a different reason this time.
Exactly.
Oh, also I was thinking of Mirdrasil was the last raid. It was just definitely Nerubar Palace. But
yeah.
We can do that one. Nerubar Palace. I actually just forgot about a raid. Here we go. Raiding these with dratnos. Wow, I look fucking hairy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the poll count predictions here are... Okay, this isn't good. I said Brood Twister would be 20. I said that Nexus Princess... Or no, okay. I guessed Brood Twister being 20. Chat guessed 100. So chat was actually really good. Nexus Princess, I guessed 60. Chat guessed 90. We were all very wrong. Silken Court, I guessed 300. Chat guessed 500. I was closer. And then Ansarek, I did 171. That was not true. Ansarek was 400 pulls, right? Yeah, Jesus Christ. So I'm wrong. I also famously said Tindril would take 20 pulls.
Yeah.
But in my defense, the version of that boss we fought on testing would have died in 20 pulls. They just simply made it like a million times harder. But I guess you could assume that they would do that, so fair. Okay, let's fucking get it. So let me... We'll do a tier list here, and then I'll also get a little Node EP out. And we'll do poll count predictions as well. First of all, what is your general idea of this raid? Like, all bosses combined.
The flavor is, like, obviously an 11 out of 10. The bosses during testing? I don't know. I was less hyped about the testing than in some previous tiers.
I would agree with that. Also, it's hard to, like, compartmentalize testing for me, at least, because I never got any time to, like, actually enjoy the bosses. It was just all so brute force ran in 1 week that it was so, like, I was just run down. Like, I didn't want to look at a raid plan for days after testing was over, and it's never been like that before. They just did it all in 7 days for some reason. Okay, we'll do yours and then mine. All right, cool. So let's start it off. So we're talking about Liberation of Undermine today for people who are maybe watching this video in the future or watching Twitch right now. This is an 8-boss raid. It is right after Nerubar Palace. Let's get right into it. Casino themed. Heavy theme. Probably the most thematic raid, I think, since, like, Throne of Thunder. I think this is maybe even of all time. Has there been another raid that is committed to the bit more than this raid has?
I don't think so.
Castle Nathria?
Even this is, like, it's so all in on the theme. I guess Castle Nathria, but I don't know. Castle Nathria has, like, Huntsman Altimore and
some random
Darkvein and stuff. I guess here this is not, but, like, even the ones that aren't casino themed,
Rick
right? Like
Reaver,
the
they're
boss,
like, yeah,
they're like themed around something very goblin-y.
Oh yeah. So getting into this first boss, then we'll be talking about Vexy. So in short, this is just a, like, what is this, like almost like a battle bot, like giant car. Like, just another thing about this boss is, like, when you zone in and kill all the trash, the boss, like, skirts around the whole arena and just runs over everyone, by the way. Just fuck it. And the whole boss is killing bikers on their bikes, making them hit oil, picking up oil canisters, fueling the bikes, and then shooting the bikes back into the boss, which removes its armor, which gives you like a gnarl root-esque like burn phase. Not gnarl root in the way where you have to burn roots, but like you just like do extra damage to the boss, and then you have to prevent these little mechanics coming in from repairing him. Just like a giga easy first boss, like to understand. Super thematic. You like get on the, maybe Dratnos' POV will show it here, but like you get on these bikes after you kill them, and then you just like rev that shit up and just shoot it right into the boss. It's sick. I'm a huge fan. I think this is, you never really know how first bosses are going to turn out, but like we've seen this formula before. This is, has there been a first boss where it's mostly single target and you do like a little something and then you get a burn phase and then you repeat that and it be bad?
Yeah.
They're at best, they're at worst, they're like average bosses, right?
Yeah, this one you get a damage amp on the boss and you get some AoE padding to do at the same time on the ads that are coming in. Like, it's perfect. I think this is going to be the best first boss ever.
In a while. Oh, ever.
Yeah,
It
I mean,
could
what's
be
better?
ever. It could be ever because it does have an element that maybe not a lot of people who watch this stream care about. And that's just it being really fucking cool. Like, it's not all about gameplay. It's just about, like, sometimes bosses are just fucking sick. And this boss is just sick. Everything about it. Except it is a first boss, so, like, maybe for some people it won't reach, like, a certain level of viability or, like, difficulty to where that's interesting for them. That's how some people think, right? But, I don't know. It's a first boss. There has to be one of those. I think it'll be easy, too. Like, if people are coming in and trying to get mythic loot, I think this is a very simple fight, right? I think certainly on the tier of, like, the most recent first bosses, and I think that's something that matters, right? Like, having a boss be easily understood by a pug is something that should be included in a mythic first boss.
Yeah, I think so as well. I mean, I think the difficulty is, like, it's very simple to understand all the stuff. It's all flavorful. It's fun. I don't know. I don't have any problems with it. I think it's just great.
I think this, I would put this in, like, S, I think.
Same. Yeah, I mean, again, like, it's not doing as much for me as a late boss will, but I suspect this isn't, like, okay, you know when you're doing old racks and it does the intermission and you're like, oh man, this sucks, right? I don't think this is ever going to feel like it sucks. I think it's just going to be fun.
I agree. And we're basically just doing this off of design, and everything's relative too. Like, for example, an S tier first boss does not require the same thing as like an S tier end boss, for example. I would just straight up put it in S. And then we do have pull count predictions here.
Yeah,
I have a
this is
question.
one pull boss.
Oh, I have a question. So if we kill the trash and then the boss comes out and spurts over and kills everyone before we're in combat, does that count as a pull?
No.
I don't think so, because you're not really in combat. I would agree. 1. We're going to go with 1. All right. Second boss. Now, for some of you guys who haven't seen this on testing, I don't even think you're going to believe what you see in the intermission.
Yeah.
Like, this is an actual animation on a WoW boss right now. This happens the whole clash. These two... It's like Godzilla versus King Kong vibes, the entire first boss. Think like you get debuffs for being on each boss, but not like Amalgamation Chamber where like you'd realistically be swapping during the phase. It's more like you'd swap after the Colossal Clash maybe. And then in Mythic, all you got to do is there's some toys that spawn on each side. And you just need to shoot the toys and make them run into other toys, and that gets rid of them, and that's it. This testing you're looking at the VOD of right now of Dratnos, this boss was like way harder. They made them do way more damage, and today they retested it and it felt like a true second boss. So I think it'll fit right in. I think this is definitely your 2 box. I don't think you would ever do Rick Reverb over this. I think this is like, for most of you guys who don't do like really heavy mythic, you'll be doing the really cool boss you just saw, and then I think thematically really cool boss here. I don't know, what do you think about this guy?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the theme on this one is fantastic, right? You've got King Kong versus Godzilla robots, right? Like, that is a huge W. I will say it wasn't especially like fun to do during the testings in the way that like the first boss was fun to do during the testings, right? This one for me was less, on all difficulties, was like less poggers. It sounds like the changes they made today have improved it quite a bit, so I like that. But I don't think this is going to be one of those bosses that's as fun to play as it is like it's an awesome concept.
Yeah, like think about bosses we've done recently, second bosses that were actually like really good. I mean, this kind of bears some resemblance to like Amalgamation Chamber, at least with like the two bosses split up and you have like the different debuffs. But that boss was all about swapping sides and getting rid of your stacks and combining with people and, you know, like all of those things. And that's just completely non-existent here. That this is like just basically think of it as like two single target fights happening and you're just hitting each boss for 50% of the time. So it's doesn't have that much intricacy to it, but that could be a good thing for people. I think it's a better boss than like Agira, for example. I would take this over Agira. Agira's pretty basic too, but
yeah, it's a different kind of boss than Agira, right? Like it's a lot less of like a dance than Agira, right? And a lot more of just kind of do the whatever side you're on, then do the other side. I don't know. I like these swirlies as well. This is the first boss where they've got the new, more easily defined swirlies kind of on display. And I think that goes a long way here. I found the lightning side to be kind of interesting as well, because it has this mechanic where on the lightning side, if you move too much, you get stunned. And then you have a mechanic where you're dropping swirlies, and it kind of forces you to learn the like stutter step move that you're supposed to do with that kind of mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Or else you'll get stunned. So
well, they did. So one thing, they retested this today and they made it so you could move way more, but it is still you can see in the bottom of his screen there. The more he moves, the more like this stacks up. So you want to stand still as soon as possible. They gave you just a lot more leeway. So like if you're doing the same movement he's doing here, you probably wouldn't even fill this up halfway.
Nice. Yeah. So that's going to make it feel a lot more like a second boss, because that was actually, it was very restrictive. Like if you weren't moving properly and stutter stepping, you would get stunned, guaranteed, in the testings that I did.
I think they have, each side has like an interesting way to deal with area denial. The fire side has like these baited bombs that you have to soak, and after the recent test, like the entire fire side needs to soak that. And this side has like these little gorillas that spawn, and they will be kited towards you. Let's see if I can find one. Of course, you're just on the wall and can't see anything. These voltaic images, so when they reach you or hit you ever, they'll just like put this lightning on the ground, and you can, with proper play, you can make the room look a lot cleaner, like as you get better at the boss. So like that is the way you deal with area denial on this side. I just think visually this fight's very good. The new animations make this fight so much better. And it's a way to show that off. I don't know. I'm trying to. I don't think this is like an S tier second boss.
I agree. I think this is probably like A or B. Just I don't know. There's something about
the theme carries it hard.
Yes, the theme is great, but it just again, it's like I wasn't having that much fun fighting it, and it's kind of hard to put my finger on why. So,
yeah, I'm trying to think what people normally hate about early bosses. Like, you remember how we had a really good ranking of like the Amir Drasil Council? But then, like, that was based on testing. And it was like, oh, you can be a duck. That's fun. But you were almost never a duck. But then the fight went live, and you were just... It actually made sense for, like, 2 people to basically be a duck forever. So it's like, now, for a decent amount of people who do the fight, this fight isn't fun. And they're right. And it's because they made a change like that. This fight doesn't have anything like that for those people. Like, no one's going to feel like they can't play the game. I think that matters on an early boss. I don't know. I think the theme... This boss would have to fucking suck for it to be below a B. Like, it would have to suck because the theme is fucking awesome. Like, it's really cool. I think I have a gripe too. This thing in the intermission looks awesome. You can put it in all your marketing materials, but like, I'm just going to pause this right now. If you're standing right like near here, I guess you don't have to, but like, that's got to be a huge... On a fight that's supposed to emphasize visual clarity with these circles, the visual clarity that does not exist when you're in this giant fucking... At least, like, have a setting... I couldn't find any, but, like, a setting like particle density or something where this looks less crazy would be kind of cool, but it is a very cinematic... I mean, maybe you can get away with that on a really easy second boss. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, it's the second boss, so it doesn't... I don't think it really matters too much. You do want to be in the middle to cleave both of them, though, which means you want to be in the area where you can't see anything. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all good. I don't know. I'm happy to call this an A. I think it's, especially if they improved all those things in the retest. I don't know. The theme is great.
The theme. I mean, this boss, a bad version of like this boss wasn't good in testing is a B, and it's not a super banger. I think A. I would agree with that. All right, poll count predictions. Race to world first.
1.
I would agree with you. Although,
there's just not anything too hard about it. Like, there's nothing about it that should wipe. A
No,
guild that
actually, there
has
is
20
there
people
is like a few things that could be kind of dangerous with the gear we'll have at the time, and that is if you only have like 7 or so or 8 people make it into the fireside soak, the hit that everyone takes from that is pretty large, and you could actually have some people get gibbed. And so that's like basically what I'm saying is this fight as an early boss does have scenarios where a few people can make a mistake and a few other people die that don't see that mistake, and that is a really easy early boss to wipe on even one time. So
yeah, I guess it may depend on how early in the reset you do the early bosses of Mythic as well versus how much time you spend in splits.
And imagine how much the little dolls you kick together, like imagine that's not super coordinated on like a first pull, and like you just do that at the same time as a raid soak and just like 2 or 3 people die, okay, wipe and go again rather than try to one-shot it. I think there's a scenario where this is 2 even for a very good guild. But I think that's fair. Okay.
I'm sticking with 1.
Okay, sticking with 1. All right, on to Rick Reverb. Would you like to explain to these good people how Mr. Rick Reverb works?
Yeah, so first of all, this boss was pretty not fun during testing. They've fixed some of it now, but basically it'll drop these amplifiers, and then you need to, on Mythic, clear the shield from them by having 2 people with faulty zap like run into each other, and that'll clear the shields on these things. And you need to then click on them to drain their energy. If their energy gets too full, then they start casting Haywire. It also like shoots out these projectiles. If you get hit by 1, you get a dot. If you get hit by 2, you get MC'd. The boss has like a laser on Mythic that needs to get soaked, and everybody it hits, it splits damage between. And if anybody gets hit below 75%, you get MC'd. The boss has like a frontal that does a bunch of sonic damage, which is like unmitigatable physical damage. So depending on what tank you're playing, that's really brutal. And it stacks up a damage increase. So it's one of those bosses where like your idiot, melee players are going to get hit by that frontal and not know what's going on. And your tanks may also be getting beat up on this fight and dying a lot. And then after the boss drops a few of these amplifiers, so more and more are out during the phase, then it'll go to this like intermission where it sort of does Ansurek Novas that you need to get knocked over. And you get knocked over them by being in the amplifiers that the boss will like pick one to turn into a bouncy, like the Venom Nova bouncy thing.
You'll see it here on the POV if you're watching. It's like he's gonna do it. He casts, I think it's like Beat Drop or Sound Cloud.
Yeah,
he casts.
We didn't actually make it there on Mythic testing,
fuck.
so.
Oh,
I did it on Heroic though, but yeah.
Oh yeah, you just do like this bouncy intermission. You can't do any damage to him until the last one. And you have to
which
that.
was super bad for like Disc and Holy Paladin.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Couple things here. So number one, they retested this today and made a lot of it make sense. So faulty zap like kind of is consistent. Like if you ever pop one of the things with faulty zap, like 2 more go out. So you have the option. You have more of them. It's also not a 5-second dot anymore. It's just an upfront raid hit, so you don't have to like time them out. The pyrotechnics now spawn much, much closer to the boss and clumped up to be easily killed. They also have significantly less HP. The amplifiers now spawn only 1 at the beginning of the phase instead of 2. And just in general, the entire fight was made like much more of like a second boss. I think.
Right. Because one of the mechanics was that you would keep 2 of the amplifiers into the next phase after each intermission, right? And so and now you're only going to keep 1 extra.
A lot of soaking requirement. Yeah, I think for like a third boss, it's definitely a decent step up. The version of this boss we tested today, much better. Theme out of control, right? The boss comes in, he's like, I'm Rick Reverb. Like, just crazy shit going on. And then he has, like, just all of his ability names. This is just, like, probably one of the most thematic bosses in the raid. That being said, this is the clear third boss. This raid is kind of weird. The raid we just got done was almost entirely linear. The only choice you had in the entire raid was whether you go to Nexus Princess or Brood Twister, right? But even then, that was super linear. One of those was just easier than the other one. This raid is weird. You have, like, you kill the first boss, Vexy, and then you can do Cauldron of Carnage, Rick Reverb, Styx Bunk Junker, or Sprockenmonger. You can go to all of them right away. Now, some are clearly, they're not all second bosses. Like, some are clearly designed to be later in the raid, ones we have not talked about yet. But Rick Reverb is, like, definitely the third boss. If you compare that to this raid, I think people really liked and kind of got used to farming like Sick ran really easily and maybe Rash ran really easy. Maybe you get a 2-box on Mythic really for the first time ever. That's never really happened before. I don't think that's going to happen in this trade. Like, the idea that people are going to kill Rick and then also Styx or Sprocketmonger, who we'll get into in a second, it's like kind of psycho. Like, it's just like the difficulty is just so much harder than like your Rash and Ans, which will probably be a better difficulty curve going up into your Styxes, Sprocketmongers, and One-Armed Bandit. Like, so maybe we won't run into the issue where it's like Rash and Ant into Brood Twister is this massive problem. But also, maybe the pugs won't be as easy. Maybe your guild won't get to the 2-box in Mythic as fast. So just something to think about.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It's hard to imagine this being anywhere close to as puggable
as Sick.
Like, I think even getting two bosses this tier, I think is going to be a lot harder than getting 2 was last tier, right? Like, just doing Ulgrax and Bloodbound, a lot of people could do that. That I think will struggle with even like Mythic Cauldron.
Yeah.
Getting a 4-box compared to last tier, yeah, I think it's going to be like, I don't know, 5 times harder or something like that. Like, it's not going to be anywhere close to as puggable. I think.
That does not mean anything for like getting cutting edge or not, because that's almost entirely defined by the last couple, which you have no idea how hard they are until you do them.
Yeah.
But yeah, early, definitely a little more complicated, but very cool. So I really wish you would have done this on testing today, because my ranking of this boss jumped up like 1 to 2 things on testing today. Like,
okay, that's good to hear, because I was going to F tier this thing based off of the testing I did.
Yeah, no, I think after today, it would go up fairly significantly. Like, we had, I mean, also, I'm like biased though, because we like had a working thing that we're like, okay, this is just what we're doing in progression, and we were done with it. And it felt good. So like, how good is the theme for Rick Reverb?
Pretty good. I don't know. I mean, compared to the rest of this raid, I don't think it's a standout in terms of theme. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's good, but it's not like I don't think it's even necessarily in the top half of thematic bosses this tier.
Okay, I'll put it in C. I'm kind of fucking with it.
I don't mind B for this. Obviously, like if on the retest it was good and it's fun to play.
Let's see what other. I wonder what other people's retests look like. I'm not sure. We'll put it in maybe high C, something like that.
Okay,
sounds good.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, and then after this, I actually don't know. So it's kind of confusing. I don't know if Sprocketmonger or Styx is supposed to be the 4th boss, or maybe if they're both supposed to be. Either of them.
I feel like it's Styx, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The Dungeon Journal is like really weird with loot right now, and Styx is ahead of Sprocketmonger in the Dungeon Journal, and so far the Dungeon Journal has been very correct as to like the linear nature of the raid, even though it's not linear. But Styx, I could see Styx being harder than Sprocketmonger in Mythic for sure. So I don't know. They both or very similar at least. So all right, tell these guys about Styx.
Yeah, you get turned. You ever played Katamari Damacy? It's the game where you're a big ball and you roll over stuff. You become a bigger ball. That's this boss fight. You get put on a rolling ball thing of trash, and then you roll over some small trash, and then you roll over medium trash, and then you can roll into the big bomb. And you kind of need to do all those things. On Mythic, you also need to get medium sized fast so that you can then roll over the like ads that are going to try and one-shot somebody.
Now, before you keep going, I want to point out what you're looking at right now is extremely bugged. So Dratnos is rolling over small piles, and it's just simply not giving him any... Like right there, he should have gotten medium. He should have gotten medium. Nope, not working. And he's like, okay, better go back and try to get this one again. Okay, that worked. Now I can do this. Like, it was the testing for this. I'm actually really surprised they didn't retest this, because it just wasn't working a lot of the times he went in the ball. Maybe they will. But you can see the vision, right? The vision is roll over trash and deal with things trash are doing while boss is kind of area denying, you know, like I think this boss slaps.
Yeah, it's sick. It's fun to do, like rolling over the trash. Even when it was buggy, it was fun. And if it's not buggy, it's obviously going to be like way better. So, it's a fun little mini game mechanic. The fight itself, I don't know. I mean, it works. It's sort of a simple, ad fight. I don't know. I have no problems with this. I think this is definitely just going to be fun.
Yep. Think it's gonna be fun. Think it's going to be unpuggable.
Oh yeah.
Like this is like in quotes the fourth boss. Comparing this to like Rashinan, there just ain't no fucking way. Like even if it's tuned easy, like there's no way. Like your boss is way harder.
Like you need everybody to understand what they're supposed to do if they get the ball rolling thing, because there's stuff that you don't want to roll into, right? If you roll into the like bombs that are attached to the trash, that's very bad. So
yeah, and I'm not even saying that's a bad thing. I know some people definitely look at raiding that way, especially like Mythic Plus players are like, I like raid just because it gives me loot and I want it to be over as fast as possible. Those people are obviously going to be huge fans of every boss being a one-shot, right? Because like super easy, low resistance. But like also the Rashinan being that easy also was a huge contributor to the Brood Twister problem. Massive. So I think having a more linear difficulty curve up from 2 makes sense. This raid clearly has that. But it is going to come at the cost of less pug-friendly raids, which is kind of a big issue in WoW at the moment. Mythic Lockout, we talked about this a lot. Yeah, stick zones. I don't know if I'd put sticks in S.
yeah, I'm maybe feeling an A as well. I don't know. It's hard to say what would need to change about it to go up to S, but
maybe just
it's like a little fiddly. I don't know.
It's really, I mean, maybe it would be S if the testing wasn't bugged. Like, it
Maybe.
literally, it's just like the only time we've done this on Mythic, it was, you just, like, you could barely make progression on most pulls because it would just be RNG whether you could even roll over trash or not. I don't know. I'll leave it in A, room for S.
Yeah.
All right. Sprocket Monger.
I loved this fight. So this is kind of one of the most like old school sort of fights in that it's got some kind of complicated mechanics, but it does them in the exact same order and positions every pull. So you can like learn exactly where you're supposed to move as a raid and how to counter it. And I really like, I don't like every fight being like that, but I like some fights being like
Wait,
that.
I want to cut you off real quick before we go back to this. I forgot about pull counts for the last 2 bosses. We can do them very fast.
Okay.
Rick Reverb, what do you think?
4.
All right, 4. Okay, and sticks.
2.
Wow. That is 0 respect for sticks. I mean, gotta respect it. I like that. I put 5. I put 5 for sticks and 1 for Rick Reverb.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like Styx is the kind of boss where you take like Race World First players and they're going to be especially good at doing those mechanics.
Yeah, maybe it's just the testing, but I feel like it's like I just feel like it's a boss that could just like ramp out of control really fast. Like
yeah,
just,
that's fair.
Like a couple extra fires. Yeah, I don't know. But then you would hope those don't happen. All right, back to Sprockenmonger. Very cool fight, very old school.
Yeah. Basically you have bombs that need to get exploded that get placed. Like he'll throw out 4 of them, and
You see them
only
spawning
blow up
here.
One. You can only blow up 1 per cycle. Now the mythic twist is that you get polarized to be either red or blue, and the boss will kind of redo those polarizations a couple times throughout the fight as well. And you don't. It's not like Silken Court where it just one shots you if you run into somebody of the other color. It like knocks you both back and puts a nasty dot on you, but it's not lethal, especially if you only get 1 stack. Like you can live it. And the way that it works on Mythic is that those bombs the boss throws out needs to get defused by somebody with the same color. The boss will throw out 2 red bombs and 2 blue bombs. And so we kind of have, you set up like a dance of, okay, this is the blue area, this is the red area at this part of the fight. Here's how we're going to have the blue people go and defuse the blue bomb in the red area in this spot, because at least the strat we were using on PTR had a blue bomb in the red area and a red bomb in the blue area, and so we kind of had like a safe channel to get through. I'm sure there's other ways of doing that you could do as well.
Mm-hmm.
It has these kind of annoying screws that come up from the ground that are really obnoxious to play around, actually, but the flavor on them, it's called screw up, and a screw comes up from the ground, and if you get hit by one, you get the debuff screwed. So even though it's really annoying to play against, like I can't give negative points for
there's been a lot of those
up.
in this trade. Like there's a boss that its Tank Buster is literally called Tank Buster. There's a boss where its Tank Buster is called the Big Hit.
Yeah,
it's very meta.
It's good. It's got this intermission that's kind of weird where you all get knocked. It's sort of like
Iminar
intermission, right? Where you all get knocked back and you have to then chase the boss across the bridge.
Looks like it's gonna happen right here really soon.
yeah.
Oh, you guys are turbo dead for it, I think. But yeah, it polarizes everyone again. It knocks you into a spot, and then everyone here with different polarizations has to like dodge in this intermission where the only safe spots are the conveyor belts, and you just have all this shit going on, and also you have to try to do damage. The intermission to me seems undercooked because
it seems out of place.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, you can get in this intermission, you can have all the red people and blue people separately or separated, but like, what are melee doing here? You know, like what's going on right now? Like you're gonna put all the red and blue melee on one conveyor next to bleeding edge. It's a really long cast. You know, like what kind of uptime are we looking at here? The intermission seems undercooked for sure. This is like you guys are looking at a wipe, but like that is that. I liked P1. I think P1 is good. Yeah, and this is a fight where it just does this 3 times. So
it does like empower the boss's abilities after each intermission, right? So like the lasers become bigger and void lasers, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's fundamentally, and the next time it does the dance, it'll do like different ground areas. But again, it does the same ones from pole to pole, right? So you can kind of learn like, okay, now we get this pattern. Now we send, we have to send 2 red people far on this one or whatever, right? Like you learn those sort of things, and then presumably almost everybody in the world will just get to steal positioning from, a world first guild and do that. But it was actually really fun to try and cook this during PTR. Is one of those cases where like I suspect that is going to be a really fun part of this experience that very few guilds will actually really do. Yeah,
figuring out exactly how to do it. I had like a little bit higher hopes when I saw like all the weapons in the journal. I was like, oh, it's gonna be like Siegecrafter where like you like certain weapons go down the belt and you like kill the ones you want to deal with and stuff. I was kind of hoping for that selfishly, but I think the version of this, you're actually gonna see the empowered laser thing now if you live. Oh no. Okay, he does not. But like you're about to see what the empowered laser looks like, and then it empowers rockets later. It's like these little purple orbs, and if anyone touched them, it does raid damage to everyone. It's pretty crazy. But like you kind of see the idea, right? So split up, easier Silken Court kind of spread, way less punishing. And just to clarify what you see with the circles, it's like you only see your circle, and then you see the circle of everyone else of the opposite color. So you know where everyone of the opposite color is at all times, and you would only collide with them if you run into their circle or they run into yours. Or I think it's if they're hitbox, it would be just being in the circle.
It's like if the middle of your hitbox touches the edge of their circle, right? Like that. So your circles can overlap a little bit, but you can't touch them you can't touch the middle with the edge.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
All right, what are you thinking for Sprocket Man?
Yeah, I mean, this was extremely fun. I think that it's going to be actually really fun on Heroic. I think if you're like a Heroic progression guild that likes sort of somewhat difficult fights, I think this is going to be a really sweet Heroic fight to do. The Mythic version of the fight I also think is pretty good. It's like it's a mid-tier boss. It's a more telegraphed, less deadly version of the Silken Court Mythic mechanic, and it's like more... It's like scripted, but it's also reactive in a way that Silken Court became extremely scripted with how you solved it. But this one, I think,
not
because
scripted.
It's not as scripted because the boss is randomizing rather than you choosing who's on which side. So I don't think it's going to have quite the same. Everybody does the same thing every pull, because you're going to need more of a like, okay, we need somebody who is red to go and do the red job here. And so you'll kind of understand like, okay, at this spot in the fight, 2 red people have this responsibility. But each from pull to pull, right, you're going to have different people that are polarized red or that have already done a bomb, right? Because if you've already done a bomb, you can't do another one until after the intermission.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's got a good mix of like scripted dance without it feeling exactly... Because one thing I hated about Silken Court was that pull 150 and pull 100 felt exactly the same, and you were just doing the exact same things and just waiting for like the right stuff to happen, often with involving people that weren't you, right? And I don't think this fight's gonna feel like that, so I'm pretty excited. I think mechanically this fight's sweet. I'm ready to call it S. Yeah,
you're ready to call it S. I think it has to be at most an A because of the intermission
That's
just
fair.
being like, there's just not a clear sign of the intermission being fun for anyone. And I feel like that would have to be fixed up, but it's like a good intermission away from an S tier fight. I like
That
the
works for
idea.
me, yeah.
All right. On to the one-armed bandit.
Oh,
Okay, so the one-armed bandit is in reference to a slot machine because the boss is literally a slot machine. This is like your sludge fist area of the raid, and it isn't pure single target, but it like basically is. And it's very, I mean, thematic doesn't even, pull count, I forgot previous boss, god damn it. Pull count for Sprocketmonger. Let me think of mine and you think of yours. Give it like 5 seconds.
okay. I'm locked in.
Okay, I'm locked in.
34.
Okay, I have 20. Pretty close.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, this is in, like, the Brood Twister thing. I think one thing to really look at this raid is, like, what Blizzard does with bosses 4 and 5. Because that was really, really impactful and different in last raid. When you only have 8 bosses, you don't have a lot of runway to ramp up your difficulty curve. Like, 2 things are true. Rashanan actually wasn't that easy. It's statistically, like, actually just as difficult as it should be for a 4th boss. And 2 things can both be true. And Brood Twister was like a little hard, but statistically not super hard for a 4th to last boss. But the problem is there was just only 8 bosses, and those 2 bosses were right next to each other. So like how they, without having more bosses to bridge the gap between those 2 things, what does Blizzard do in this raid to approach that issue? Be very easy to see. Okay, or very interesting to see. All right, so we have Liberation of Undermine here. We got One-Armed Bandit. So this fight has a lot going on. There's 4 different ads: Coin, Bomb, Flame, and Shock. Only 3 of them will spawn at a time. You can do the same order every pull if you'd like to, but the ads might spawn in slightly different positions, should that matter for the way you're doing it. And you basically have 6 combinations. So like between the 4 things, there are only 6 ways you can combine them. If you're going to do 2 at a time, with 3 being the option, to where like you run out of options. If you ever do 2 in a row, he enrages. So you're intended to go through all different variations, right? So just each combo of either Shock, Flame, Bomb, or Coin. How you do that is these ads come out right here. You can see them. So this one's Coin, this one's Flame, this one's Shock. So you would just pick 2 to do here. I'm not entirely sure what Dratnos does, Dratnos' guild does, but you would just choose 2 to kill. You break their vulns by hitting them with coins. Also, another coin mechanic is if you stand next to the coins, you get a damage amp. So like there's that element to it as well. Just rolling them right by you without getting hit by them. They choose to kill Coin and Flame, so they're going to get Coin and Flame first. So now if Dratnos has a coin buff, he's going to press his extra action button, dunk it into the boss at the same time as his Flame friend here. And now the boss is going to give you a reward for doing Flame and Coin, which is going to be a ton of fucking raid damage and a Flame Coil. Actually, I don't know if this, I think it's Shock and Flame. I think it's the Flame Coil. And then there's just something like that for every single combination. At the same time, you're dealing with, like, this is called the big hit, this area denial. You can find a way to deal with that. And so this whole fight is figuring out, where do you put coins? What order do you go in? How do you deal with it? And then the end of the fight, from 40% to 0, it's just a burn phase where he does 1 of each thing. So he's going to do, like, some constant shock stuff. He's going to do 1 cast of... no, he does a couple of the other ones. Like, a couple casts of Coin. He's going to do 1 cast of Bomb at the end, which is like the hard hardened range. It's like a long cast that kills you at the end of it. Can't survive. So it's really thematic. It keeps... When it spawns the new ads, it does spin to win. It's constantly shooting out coins. But I don't know. What was your experience testing this?
I had quite a bit of fun, actually. The one thing I'll say is that it's not actually that mechanically evocative of a slot machine, because there's not actually any, like, randomness or spinning or, like, what's it going to land on or any of that kind of stuff. Like, it's...
There is kind of.
The only thing that's random is where the ads spawn, right? Like, whether Flame spawns on the left or the middle or the right. And that can matter because you probably don't want to kill left and right, because that's, like, less efficient than killing middle and one of the sides. But, like, it's mostly not an RNG fight, which is weird to have that as, like, a complaint. And I think it probably makes sense, because an RNG fight this late in the raid would be bad. I do think if they actually wanted to do, like, a slot machine fight with randomness as a mechanic, it would probably have to be an early boss. This one does make sense, I think, for where it is in the raid, and the ability names are all great. They're actually pretty fun to play against as well. The one thing I'll say is the coin mechanic felt wrong or bad. Like, so the boss will shoot out these coins, and in theory, you're supposed to get a damage buff if you almost get hit by them, but don't actually get hit, right? Like, if you dodge out of the way of them. But, like, in practice, that was... Maybe that's just a PTR thing, but it was not consistent. It was not... Like, sometimes you got the buff when you didn't think you deserved it, and a lot of times you didn't get the buff when you think you did deserve it, for how you moved. So that was something that took away from my experience of PTR testing it. Hopefully just a PTR thing. And then just in general, I don't know... like, that seemed like a weird mechanic, right? Like, you get... It's like 15% haste and 50% movement speed for almost getting hit by the coin. That's, I think, the only mechanic I didn't enjoy. I like the way that basically all the intermissions are like medium or low impact, so it kind of doesn't matter too much whether you do shock and bomb or flame and coin. Like
there is one element of mechanics that we haven't mentioned to you guys, and that is that a lot of these different combos will spawn a coil of some kind. And what that coil does is you can click it at any point, and it is going to do a mechanic, but then remove some of the area denial in the room. So there is a lot of like strat variability as to like when exactly you want to deal with that. You could either maybe make a strat where you don't ever want to use the coils. Why would you want to have a mechanic happen? So you have to be better with positioning. Or a strat where you maybe do a bunch all at once, pop a bunch of cooldowns, and like clean up the whole room, like maybe before the last phase. Or like maybe you find a certain time to do it in every cycle, and you always just have a mechanic or the same mechanic happen there. Like you could, this is the kind of boss where you'd watch a guild stream this. Sorry, if the Race World First wasn't streamed, but then you got to see the top 5 guilds kill it, I bet they would all kill it a slightly different way. So those bosses are kind of cool. They're less cool in the race because everyone ends up doing it the same way. But like the way it is now. But I think bosses like that are really fun to progress. So I think that part of it will be pretty good. But I do agree with you. The coins thing seemed a little off. Like I get why it exists, but it's just not... Like this boss makes sense. You can go all the way through it and like totally makes sense. I still feel like it's just like off. It's like a little...
Yeah. It's like slightly not there yet. But it's kind of hard to say exactly why. Again, like all the abilities are really flavorful. Maybe something with the coil. It felt like the coil was just not worth using unless somebody dropped like... Because you get time before you drop your circles, so it seems like you should always be able to just get to the edge of the room to drop it and then just never have to deal with the mechanic again. That's at least my guess for it, is if it made it live like it was right now, you would just never click a coil, but
yeah,
maybe you would. I like the enrage sequence at the end of the fight. I think that's like I think that part is well done.
Yeah, same.
The main phase, I don't know. Something about it doesn't fully do it for me.
So where do you think you put this guy?
Like A or B, I don't know.
I'd put it in B for now.
Okay.
I put it in B. Last phase, it has some potential. But, like, this is the third to last boss. There's so much. There's so, like, the bosses that have been... You're talking, like, you're competing last year with Nexus Princess, right? You're competing historically with your Sludge Fists. That's just... The expectation is so high that I feel like it's just not there. The theme, going absolutely stupid with the theme.
Right. Again, like, the flavor on this is extremely good.
Okay. Pull counter. I need to think about this for a second. Because it's so weird when testing. Like, when you feel like you test a boss well and you think you'll kill it. Like, if we test this boss right now, we'd fucking shit on this boss. But, like, it's just gonna be harder than that, right? Like, that's just how progression works. So like...
So you kind of have to try and predict, like, how are they gonna make this harder, right? I have a feeling this is gonna be... Well, I'll lock in my guess. I'm ready.
I'll lock in mine now. Okay, what's yours?
77.
Woohoo! We were 3 off. I had 80.
Oh, I have 77 because 7's like a lucky number 7, so it's like a...
Oh, so clever.
Yeah.
Okay. Which also, just if you're reading our predicted pull counters, not as if they're anything to pay attention to whatsoever, because they're completely made up and no one knows how hard these bosses will be. But this would be very different from last raid. Last raid went 1, 1, 1, 1, like 120, 300, 250, 400, like just crazy hard. So let's see if that picks up here. All right, Muggsy. I think the coolest looking boss in the raid, purely visuals on the boss. He's wearing a fucking tuxedo. It's an ogre.
Yeah, so like we talk about flavor of these bosses, and a lot of the bosses we've talked about so far have had like, oh, this is a slot machine. Oh, this is like, DJ robot, right? This one is like a gangster, bouncer, ogre, thing, and it's just so the flavor is. This is like it's got to be a 30 out of 10 or something on the flavor meter. It's incredible. The boss's ability names as well. It's got like finger guns and it's incredible. The flavor on this boss is, I think, the best of any in this tier, and that is a very high bar.
Yep, I'd agree. And then it's all based on it's an ogre boss with 2 heads, and each side of this room is directly flipped in half. And on Mythic, by swapping all 20 players to the other side, you like change the phase, and you're kind of free to do that whenever you want. Each side does different mechanics. They have each side have abilities that deal with each other. So like the Z side spawns bombs. You can use like most of the mechanics in the fight to get rid of bombs, either the icicles from Frost Shatter boots or the walls from these jails, or individually popping them. There's a lot of like creativity you can use to do this fight. And it's very, very cool. Like these Frost Shatter things can be dealt with a lot of different ways. I think before you have that a lot of it figured out, it seems kind of chaotic. So I think for most people that maybe are like, you know what, well, this seems kind of crazy. We'll see how the Race World First guilds do it. I think the way you watch this in the Race World First, this will be done very cleanly, with everything having a reason for where you're putting it and why, and what you're dealing with. They also nerfed this significantly since the last test. This spawns 6 bombs per wave, and if you left it up to 100 energy in each phase, you would get 2 sets of 6 bombs. Now it only casts bombs once, and it only does 4 of them. Right, so it's been like massively nerfed since this testing. The jails are kind of interesting. You have to like keep them. If you like stack them, they enrage. You have to break yourself out and soak them. Wait, how far did you guys get in the original testing? It was nuclear difficulty.
Not at all. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super hard.
We did like 3 pulls and then we went home.
Yeah. So yeah, it is it's definitely good. And then the last phase, so you basically get the boss to 40%. He does this little intermission where he cuts off half the room, and you have to dodge around that. And then he does, what is it? He does like this little spin thing, and then he's going to enrage himself. He's going to literally cast Bloodlust, and then he's going to have the abilities from both phases. And then you have 1 energy bar filling up at the end until you kill him. So it's like a hard burn, and he's just doing all these mechanics, and all the mechanics like line up with each other. It's very cool. I'm a big fan of the last phase. I think the first phase, hard to tell, very simple in its most recent Mythic test, but the last phase is very, very cool. And I imagine, like most things, like when we see this on Mythic, it's just going to be like crazy fast. I hated this boss after the first test. I was like, there's no vision here. Like, this is just like a bunch of shit happening. Like, it's just not fully cooked. Today, I still don't feel like it's fully cooked, but it all made sense. Also biased, we had a very good testing on this. So, like I feel really good about it because we just did it and it was really fun to figure it out and do it, and we had a good time. But we're kind of guessing here. Like, I think this boss is gonna be like really fucking good. Like, really good.
Yeah, that lines up. Like, I would say the testing was awful that I did. Like, it seemed pretty bad. Even the heroic testing, the first time they did heroic testing on this boss, it felt like a Mythic boss. Although that was like, they just had some abilities way overtuned. So it's kind of like a leap of faith here, but I'm ready to join you on like I can see what they might be trying to do with this, and also the flavor is clearly really good, so I'm in. I'm in.
I'm going S.
Hopeful for this boss.
I'm going S.
Yeah, I'm
this
fine with S.
This was C. This was C before the testing today, and even then, I'm kind of guessing because this wasn't an S on testing today. I think they're going to speed it up a bit, but I
this
can
is like
see.
We have faith. Right?
Yeah, this is I think I know what this boss is going to generally look like after a month more iteration from what they've done right now. I think it's going to look really good.
Awesome.
No birds in chat. All right, poll count prediction. Okay. Let's see. Simultaneous release. Okay. Before poll count prediction, do you think this dies in the first week?
I think it dies at the end of the first reset, probably, yeah.
I think that's the historically accurate
Yeah, that's
second
a
to last
safe
boss take.
hedge. Yeah.
What were the only second to last bosses that didn't die in the first reset? So Rygalon.
Rygalon.
Did Tindril die in the first reset?
I think it died right at the end of the first reset, because wasn't there Tindril Reclear?
Yeah. No, didn't Tindril live?
Oh, no, it died second reset, right? Because...
Tindril was fucking hard.
Yeah.
People are saying...
Yeah, because they, like, stayed up on a... They killed it... You guys both killed it on your reset days, right?
Oh, it died right... No. What we did was we got close on Tindril, and then I think we killed it on our reset day, and then, like, worked on Fire Rack and turned our streams off, and then I think Echo... Their reset day, they stayed up till like they did their reset.
They killed it at like midnight on reset day after being up at 5 a.m. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that's what it was. And then Stone Legion died first reset. Okay, so like historically, I mean Tindril's like an all-time hard boss. Like this, the likelihood of any boss just being as hard as Tindril is so low.
Yeah. But we don't have a lot of pulls predicted for the bosses before this one, right? Like if you add up all the pulls, we're talking about. Both of us have like 100 total pulls predicted to get to this point, so...
Which is kind of crazy because last tier had 1,000 pulls. Last tier had 1,000 pulls, and the first 4 bosses were one-shot.
Yeah.
That's fucking insane. I mean, maybe you could be making another guess too, though. Like, do you think Blizzard reacts to that? Does Blizzard just made like a Mirdrasil and Nerebar Palace in a row? Do you see like a let's make the raid a little easier kind of swing, like a Sarkareth, right? Like a... I mean, no one knows, right? But like, I mean, there's been historically difficult raids in WoW's history that were way harder
like
than the
pendulum.
raids. Yeah, they pendulum, like it comes back, right? Like Tomb of Sargeras didn't happen, and then every raid was Tomb of Sargeras after that. They like made a literal post being like, "We're sorry," and then changed it. Like they went back the other direction. So, like, I don't know. All right, do you have your Muggsy guess locked in?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
222.
Ooh, 260 is what I got. What?
I went with 2s because they have 2 heads, so there's 2 of them. So I put a lot of 2s.
Okay, I like that. All right, Gallywix. So obviously we haven't seen this boss yet. I'm not gonna like talk too much about it. Actually, I don't know. It's probably like gonna change a bit too. In Mythic, it's like the only thing is this boss is cool in one way, where like in Heroic and Normal, it's gonna go to like P1, P2, and P3, but Mythic is like starting in P3. And well, actually, no, fuck. I don't want to talk about this boss at all, actually. But it's Gallywix.
Yeah.
And we'll do some pull counter predictions. All right, so Gallywix pull counter predictions. I need to think of this. No, what I just said now isn't leaked. Any good guild knows about that. I just was stopping I wanted to say a bunch of other stuff, and then I was just like, there's just no reason for me to be doing this. All right. Do you have your number locked in?
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
290.
Okay, we're in the same ballpark for all these kind. I had 350. And it's just purely out of respect for like the pulls got to come from somewhere. Even in this, like this would be what like 700-ish pulls with my guesses at least, and that's like still a historically very hard raid if you were to use pulls as a metric. But only 8 bosses, it'd still be very, very high.
Yeah, the thing you got to remember as well is that like the pull count to the end boss is often heavily based on
what reset it dies in.
What? Yeah, exactly. Like, and what reset you reach it in, right? Like Sire Denathrius would have had
way more pulls than Stone
pulls
Legion.
If so, yeah, exactly. If Stone Legion hadn't taken all the first reset, so Sire Prog didn't happen so much during the second reset, right? Like you would have had way more pulls on it, right? So
correct.
I think that it's weird because if we're wrong about the earlier bosses, we're gonna be wrong about Gallywix, right? Like Gallywix could be harder than I'm imagining it to be, but if the first 7 bosses are harder as well, it's gonna Gallywix will have fewer pulls because all of those pools will be in the second reset instead of some being in the first
Yep.
reset.
And there's so
inflating that
many
pool count.
infinite like little tiny deaths that happens on pulls because you have like a little bit more HP, or an ad you have to burn dies faster, or the first intermission on Ansurek.
Even just like the success rate of the first intermission going from like 40% to 80% because you just have more gear, right? Like that
which is what
a
happens.
huge amount of extra pulls.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a weird, like I think it's going to be a hard end boss. I think it's going to be easier than Ansurek because it's kind of hard to be harder than Ansurek. But I bet it's going to be harder than Sarkarath, easier than Fireack, maybe about like Razageth once it was fixed difficulty, or like a little bit harder than that, something like that.
Yeah. Wait, what is someone in chat said these pull counts are not good. We do not like these predictions. These are like kind of low, right?
Yeah, I mean it depends on if you're a like whether this is the Race the World First pull count as well. Like that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be super hard. Or
Yeah.
easy
So
for
in an
regular
era
guilds, right?
in an era where cutting edge guilds have like a stacking raid buff and infinitely more gear, the Race World First, these pull counts are like very normal for very successful, not difficult raids.
There are some bosses, right? Like Rygalon, for instance. Rygalon was like a 200 pull boss for Race World First, and it was like a 70 to 100 pull boss for most cutting edge guilds that reached it later. So there are some bosses that have way smaller pull counts for cutting edge guilds than Hall of Fame, than Race World First guilds, and in some cases it goes the other way around. I think that what's probably going to be true this tier is that a lot of mid-tier cutting edge guilds are going to get stuck on Rick or Styx or Sprocketmonger for a lot of pulls, and then by the time you reach Bandit and Muggsy, you're going to have a lot more gear. And so I think that's going to be a lot healthier than Nerebar Palace, where nobody got stuck until Overnax, right? And then Overnax just was the brick wall for everybody. So I like that. I think this is going to be a healthier, like, you're not going to be stuck on one boss for quite as long.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, W raid. Although it is interesting, I said on Twitter the other day, is like none of the bosses stick out to me as elite so far. And that was true until testing today. I think Muggsy has the sauce. Like basically the only S tier boss design-wise would have been the first boss before the testing today, which is definitely not good.
Right, that's like the least important boss. Actually, you know what? The first boss is not the least important boss. The bosses like 2, 3, and 4 are probably the least important boss.
Yeah, actually that's a really good point. Because that's like more people interact with it.
Yeah.
And it's like a hard balance. Like a hard balance of creating a fun fight with good theme while not being too easy or too hard. It's actually a really, I think, like a fine line to draw.
One thing that's happened for us in the past as well is we've rated bosses, and then like the community has mostly been doing the heroic versions, and those have been really different. Like Razageth, Mythic versus Razageth Heroic is like
horrible
two
boss
fights.
versus an amazing fight.
Yeah. So I wonder if this tier's gonna have any of those as well, where like the heroic version is just sick and the mythic version is not, or the other way around.
Yeah.
It's hard to predict.
If me and you were the ogre Muggsy, who would be
which one's
which
Mug
head?
and which one's Z?
Yeah, which one is which head?
I want to be the one that does finger guns. I forget which one that is.
I think
Finger
that's
guns are
Mug.
sick.
That's Mug.
All right.
I don't know
I'm
which
Mug.
one that means. I'm pretty sure that's the one not in the tuxedo. I want to be the
Okay, yeah.
tuxedo ogre.
Deal. I'm the finger guns.
Yeah, I got a blaster. Yeah, that's what it is, because you can see it. Because like one of them is like he literally uses his fingers as a gun, and the other one he has a gun. W.
All right, deal. Yeah.
All right.
W.
Nice. Are we recording the podcast in like 30 minutes, 40 minutes?
Yeah,
Do you need time to eat or
whenever-
something?
I'm good whenever Dorky's around.
Yeah, I'll just end my stream sometime soon, and then we'll do
Okay.
that. All right.
I'll ping him.
Yep.
All right. W.
Bye. Oh, my dogs think that it's time to end my stream. Are they right? Oh, Ella's got a giraffe. Reptar, oh, row. Reptar, oh, row. You don't want to bark, buddy? Reptar, oh, row. Reptar, talk to him. He's such a funny dog, man. All right. I'll see you guys. Not tomorrow. Probably like some other day. You know what I mean?